right, guys, so we are still on the road here, and I'm standing in one of the places I've wanted to see since I was a little kid, 8 years old. This has been a place on my bucket list for a long time, and we're standing here in the battlefield just outside of the wilderness, Chancellorsville. It's all one intermingled battlefield, really, when you boil it down. And we're where Jackson's arm is going to be buried. Yes, it has its own grave. And to help me out, we have a fellow ECW member and a National Park Service Ranger, good friend, Stuart Henderson, here to help us out and understand why Jackson's arm is here. Oh, by the way, I do need to make an apology. I kind of come without my friend Chris Mikowski. Had to pass right by here. We had plans to hit here earlier this week. Of course, it's been busy, and we didn't make it, so we're going to do it next time. But I passed by here, saw I was near here. Sorry, Chris, I had to come, buddy. So me and Stuart are hanging out this morning a little bit without you, but yeah, I'll make it up to you later.
Okay. Well, Josh, the reason why Stonewall Jackson's arm is buried here because he chose Reverend Beverly Tucker Lacey as his pastor and chaplain for the entire Second Corps. And Reverend Lacey just happens to be the brother of J. Horace Lacey, who actually owns Elwood, the house behind where we stand. And this is the Jones-Lacey family cemetery. So Reverend Lacey did not think that Jackson's amputated arm should be with the other amputated limbs of the Confederate Army. So he wraps it in a blanket, and he and James Power Smith come here and bury the arm and pray over the arm. Now it says later on when they asked Jackson's widow if she wanted the arm buried with her husband, she said no, it got a Christian burial here. So his arm supposedly still here. Now this is a family cemetery, although you don't see any gravestones. The only stone is the one for Jackson's arm in here. And James Power Smith, who actually marries one of the Lacey daughters, he becomes a preacher, and he puts out about 20 stones marking Confederate points of interest here in the whole 4 battlefields that we have here. Now, Jackson's arm, we don't think is buried right where the stone is, because that was placed around 1900s, early 1900s. But there are stories about in 1864, the Union pioneers had dug up his arm and buried it deeper. But we don't believe that's true, because if there are no gravestones in here, how did they know the arm was buried here? Then later in 1921, Smedley Butler comes here and has Marine Corps exercises here. And he says they dug up the arm and he put it in some kind of metal box and buried it deeper. Now we do know that no metal box is here, but he did leave a little momentum. So we have it in our curatorial building. He has a plate that says the arm of Jackson was buried here. So that's the myth, and that's the #1 reason why people come to Elwood to see Jackson's arm.
So if you guys don't know, when Jackson lost his arm and then he lost his life as a result of not only the amputation, but also disease. I think he had pneumonia.
Yeah, he was healing from the injuries from his arm.
So he would die away from this location.
Right, he's going to die about 27 miles away from here, the Jackson death site.
And you guys will see that on the channel right after this. But Robert E. Lee said, Jackson has lost his left arm, but I've lost my right. How much of an impact do you think that statement from Robert E. Lee made, just that one sentence?
Well, I think he was just mainly talking about the Battle of Chancellorsville, because normally his right-hand man is James Longstreet, because that's his second in command. But Longstreet was sent away to Suffolk, Virginia to send back tons of food and forage for the Confederate Army that's still here. So Jackson's the second in command here. But when Jackson is wounded, Jeb Stuart, the cavalry commander, is going to take over his corps. But Jackson means so much to Lee because when he has independent operations, he could always count on Jackson to lead those operations.
You know, and as historians, as Civil War enthusiasts, we often think about the what ifs of the American Civil War. If Jackson had survived, what if?
We don't think Jackson would have made it out of Chancellorsville because he wants to drive the Union Army to U.S. Ford And by the time he would have done it, you had both the 1st and the 5th Corps there. And the 1st Corps with the Iron Brigade and the 5th Corps with the U.S. regulars, we don't think he would have made it out of Chancellorsville. As historians here, and especially in this park, we talk about that all along. Now, a couple of times we say that if he was in the place of Ewell up at Gettysburg, we don't think he would have been able to attack Culp's Hill either, because there's a story, and Chris's other buddy, Chris White, will tell you that they're fighting Alpheus Williams on the left flank of Ewell. So there's no way he could have made the attack, especially because Lee has Allegheny Johnson's division of Ewell's Corps behind Harry Heath. So if Lee was so concerned about it, they would have let Allegheny Johnson go to Ewell, so Ewell would have more men, so he could have attacked Culp's Hill. But really, when we talk about it, especially because he's trying to attack at night, when you have the 5th Corps and the 1st Corps guarding the way that he wants to go, we don't think he's going to make it.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Stewart.
Okay,
and it's pretty cool to be standing right here where Jackson's Arm supposedly is. Maybe one day there'll be some ground penetrating radar determinations.
We did LIDAR, but there are lots of bones here. This is the family cemetery,
right.
So we can't, in Virginia, we can't dig up the cemetery.
So you can't definitively say, hey, this is Jackson's Arm. So we'll just have to believe the history.
Yeah, because we do know Reverend Beverly Tucker Lacey and James Power Smith did bury the arm here and pray over the arm.
All right. So yeah, this is the site of Jackson's Arm. And if you guys are ever through here, come visit it. You'll have great, awesome historians like this guy here. Truly a really role model for me over the years. I've read many of his works and followed him. So
thank you.
He's truly one of my favorite historians. And you know, when you visit these National Park Service battlefields, a lot of your favorite historians are wearing this uniform. So you can actually come out, take a tour with them, and pick their brain for yourself and learn information. So yeah, come out here and visit Jackson's Arm for yourself, and we're going to get out of here. And until next time, keep preserving history. Stay safe. We'll see you soon.